May I ask Senator Lacson if he wishes to
Duwag yan,
yield
duwag. Ayaw niya
some
sigurado.
questions by way of
Duwag yan eh.
interpellation?
Ayaw.
Senator Lacson,
I'll say it again, Mr. President. Until the partial committee report is submitted or filed with the Bills and Index Division,
Oh.
and until after I have sponsored the partial committee report, I'm not yielding the floor.
Naku, ang tanong dito, mag-iimbestiga ka pa ba sa Blue Ribbon Committee, Senator Ping? Pambihira, privilege speech na naman. Hindi na kayo nagsawa sa kaka-privilege speech dyan sa Senado. Ang inaabangan na sambayan ng Pilipino, ipagpatuloy yung pagdinig dyan sa Blue Ribbon Committee. Hinostage eh. Ang dating kung hindi pipirma yung mga kasama niya doon sa partial committee report, walang mangyayaring hearing, palakpakan. Dito sa video na to, sinoplak ho nitong si Senator Rodante Marcoleta, itong si Ping Lacson. Natila bagang nawala na daw yung hinangaan niyang Ping Lacson noong mga naunang panahon. Ano lang naman ho yan mga kababayan. Hindi ho nawala yung Ping Lacson na hinangaan nitong si Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Lumabas lamang ho ang tunay na kulay niya. At sa tingin ho nating dito sa PH Update, dahil ho yan sa pera. Ang pera ho, hindi niya naman ho nga babaguhin ng isang tao. Ipapakita lamang niya kung anong kulay talaga ang tao na yan. Kung anong klase talaga siya pagka yan nagkapera. Isang like at isang subscribe. Masaya na ho tayo dyan sa mga gusto sumali sa ating community. Yung join button, nandiyan lang ho sa baba. Rerekta na ho kagad tayo sa sagutan nitong si Senator Rodante Marcoleta at nitong si Ping Lacson Buitago. Okay.
The time we first routed the same last February 11,
Nako.
2026, I'm compelled to stand
susona na naman tong si Marcos Jr. Mag-iisang taon na yung mahiya naman kayo statement nitong si Marcos Jr., yung amo mo, wala pa rin nangyayari. Anong silbi nyo bilang mga aso ni Marcos Jr. dyan sa Senado kung di ba, hindi nyo kayang panagutin? Sa bagay, mahirap na kasi pagka hinabol yung mga mastermind, baka biglang umakyat sa Malacanang ang problema.
before you on a matter of personal and collective privilege, and for good reasons.
Yan.
As we speak, the country's heat index is at its peak, but the Filipinos' anger burns hotter. Gaano man katindi ang sikat ng araw, hindi nito matatabunan ang galit ng ating mga kababayan na nalulunod pa rin sa gitna ng kapabayaan at kasakiman sa salapi ng ilang tiwaling opisyal ng gobyerno. 10 ng kanilang mga kasapakat na kontratista dulot ng flood control scam.
Nako?
Sa Barangay Mercado, sa bayan ng Hagonoy, Bulacan, ang baha ay bahagi na ng buhay. Wala nang ginawa ang mga estudyanteng pumapasok sa eskwela, mga namamalakayang pumapalaot at manggagawang araw-araw kumakayod, kundi lumusong at maabala sa hindi masawatang baha. Sabi nga ng isang residente doon, kung pinag-aralan lamang ang pinaggagawa nila, hindi kami magdurusa tulad nito. Sawang-sawa na kami. Habang sila ay nakahiga sa kama, kami ay nakahiga sa tubig baha. Sa kasamaang palad, magpapatuloy pa rin ang siklo ng paglilimas, paglusong, at pagbubuwis ng buhay at kabuhayan ng mga taga-barangay Mercado tuwing sasapit ang tag-ulan. Mr. President, Filipino families in more than 30 provinces with high and medium-high exposure to flooding across the country are sure to be flooded in months to come.
Yan.
At risk of
Nako, kung ang tawag dito, kung sa mga susunod na buwan, makakaranas na naman ng baha ang ating mga kababayan. Lalong kakalampagin yung committee mo na Blue Ribbon Committee pag nagkataon. Kaya kung ako sa'yo, habang wala pang baha, ipatawag mo na si Amena, ipatawag mo na si Lucas Bersamin, ipatawag mo na si Adrian, ipatawag mo na si Kimbo. Yung vice chairperson ng Appropriation Committee nung 19th Congress. Patawag mo na yung mga individual na yan.
losing their livelihoods
Yan.
and lives.
Yan.
Our country stands to lose about $89 billion between 2022 and 2050 due to floods and tropical storms. Again, as we speak, the Philippines remains at the top of the World Risk Index 2025 among 193 countries worldwide as the most disaster-prone country due to high exposure to floods, typhoons, and other natural hazards. These are only some of the reasons why I must speak today. Mr. President, while the partial committee report circulated to the committee members nearly 3 months ago remains pending for sponsorship, I cannot ignore the public's urgent demand for transparency regarding the flood control scandal. Therefore, as chairman of the Committee on Accountability and Public Officers and Investigations, I rise today to deliver the chairman's progress report. This progress report contains the findings of the partial report, which is grounded but not limited to the 7 exhaustive public hearings in aid of legislation conducted by your committee on what stands as the largest corruption scandal in Philippine history. This also touches on the proceedings of the 8th and latest hearing and on other key matters of urgent concern to the succeeding public inquiries. Again, for the record, the partial committee report was circulated on February 11, 2026 to the members of this committee for thorough study and consideration. As provided in our rules, Section 1, Article 5, Blue Ribbon Committee Rules, committee reports must be signed by a majority of the committee's members before they can be filed with the Bills and Index Division of the Senate. Given the scale of the investigation and the details of the discussion, which, as you all know, reached more than 400 pages, sans the annexes, each member has been afforded more than sufficient time to examine and scrutinize the full substance of the report. Everyone is given a full opportunity to review and propose revisions, modifications, deletions, and corrections. In line with Senate practice, we have provided an advanced portable document format or PDF copy to every office to allow our members to sufficient time for review. Common sense lang sa isa nating kasamahan
Nako!
na pilit naghahanap ng
Naku, may problema tayo dyan. Magpaparinig na naman. Pangalanan mo kasi para hindi ka nagmumukhang coops dyan, Senator Ping. Pangalanan mo, sino ba yung isang kasamahan?
original signed copy at ginawa pang dahilan sa hindi niya pagpirma. It should be understood that the digital version serves as the formal notification of the report's contents, Mr. President. To date, almost 3 months have passed. Only 7, including the President, Chairperson, and the Senate President, have affixed our signatures to this draft.
Lahat ng gustong ma-impeach si BP Sara, ayan ho sila. At lahat ng ayaw malaman ang katotohanan sa mga maanumalyang flood control project, ayan din ho sila. Yun eh.
Therefore, thank our colleagues, Senator Erwin Tulfo, our Vice Chairman, Senator Risa Ontiveros, Senator Bam Aquino, Senator Kiko Pangilinan, and the latest, Senator Rafi Tulfo, who have signed the partial report. And while I disagree with those who have not, let me state for the record, Mr. President, that I respect their decision even as I understand whatever reasons they have for not signing. Bottom line, it is their right as senators of the Republic. Nonetheless, it bears heavy emphasis. Most of the findings of the partial committee report are no longer new. And first view, they have already been validated, if not overtaken, by current events. In fact, the report may be pending, or while the report may be pending, the wheels of justice have already begun to grind. And I take pride in saying, in line with the direction of our report. Mr. President, the Blue Ribbon Committee is a heavy cross to bear, where every move is scrutinized and every intention is questioned. but we shoulder on and forge ahead. In my more than 50 years of public service, I cannot recall experiencing a situation where I am in now, a zero-sum outcome, whichever path I trek in the crafting of the partial committee report. Never mind the trolls and critics who have been operating like clockwork. To them I say, I have built my career and my reputation over decades on a simple principle, that noise never overpowers duty, and intimidation never silences me. Set aside, if they must, the fact that I have spent my entire public service career refusing and resisting all forms of corruption, from rejecting bribes from illegal gambling operations and
Yan.
other unlawful activities
Yan.
during my law enforcement years, let alone the pork barrel system which plundered our nation and was later declared by the highest court as unconstitutional, not to mention my consistent rejection of lobby monies in as many instances related to certain pieces of legislation. Disregard.
Meron tayong problema niya, Shen Ping. Meron tayong problema diyan. Ang tanong dito, ang tanong natin dito, noong bang nagdaang eleksyon, yung mga campaign funds na ginamit nyo sa kampanya, saan galing? Di ba? Kasi kung ikaw nakinabang doon sa mga pondong ginamit ng alyansa at yung mga pondo na yon galing sa nakaw. Hindi ko sinasabing galing sa nakaw. Kung sakali man galing sa nakaw, lahat ng sinasabi mo na yan, anak ng Petrang Garapata, magkakaproblema tayo dyan. Diba? Magkakaproblema tayo dyan. Kasi kung totoo na talagang involved ang presidente dito sa anomalya na to, at yung ibang ginamit doon sa nagdaang kampanya diyan sa alyansa ng mga magnanakaw na yan, yung ibang pera diyan galing sa mga maanomalyang flood control project. Anak ng toko, malaki problema natin diyan. Hindi ko sinasabing galing. Kasi sinasabi niya, ni minsan daw wala siyang bahid ng korupsyon. Ngayon, alam mo, hindi mo alam na yung ginamit nila sa paggawa ng mga billboards, pag-organisa ng mga dambuhalang rally, yun pala galing sa mga maleta ni Saldico. Malaki problema natin dyan, Sentin. Malaking. Hindi ko sinasabing galing. Kumbaga, yun yung mga posibilidad. Kasi yung mga nakakalagad dito, papunta ng Malacanang. At yung ika nga, boss ng alyansa na mambubudol, si Marcos Jr. Yun ang boss ni Ping Lacson.
If they can,
Oh.
the decades I have spent in the trenches as a budget watchdog and a relentless buster of abuse of power. If my track record of integrity is to be ignored today, then let the evidence speak where my history is silenced by the critics and the trolls. In the course of drafting this report, my guidance to my staff was unequivocal, that we adopt a single standard in laying down the committee's findings. We go where the evidence leads us. Before we dive into the findings, let us be very clear in plain, simple terms. We are not here to indict, much less convict, or hand down a final judgment. Hindi po ito isang hatol.
Yan.
Rather, we're establishing a standard of clear indicia, as lawyers call it, to assist in whatever way we can the proper authorities who shall independently evaluate these findings, determine probable cause, and take the necessary legal actions. Halimbawa, sa kaso ng ating kasamahan na Senator Jingo Estrada, ay mayroong bagong development na
Ayan.
naganap
Nako,
sa
yan na.
pamamagitan ng LBRMO na nagpahayag na hindi si Senator Jinggoy ang proponent base sa record
Nako po.
ng mga proyektong una nang naiugnay sa kanya. Nonetheless,
Pero ganap na ganap kayo diyan sa komite noong binabanggit nung mga taga-district engineer ang pangalan nitong si Senator Jinggoy, Senator Bong Revilla. Nako, malaki problema natin dito mga kababayan. Malaki o problema natin dito. Ngayon, parang ang magiging persepsyon ng ating mga kababayan kung sino man ang pinaparatangan dito ng mga mastermind dito sa mga maanomalyang flood control project, magdalawang isip ang sambayan ng Pilipino. Baka yung mga pinaparatangan, sila yung mga inosente dito sa isa na to.
Mr. President, let me be uncompromising. In this long course of inquiry, the Filipino taxpayers are the complainant. Our duty to them is to answer three fundamental questions. Number one, where did the money go?
Yan.
Two, how was this corruption executed? And three, how do we fix the system so it never happens again? Mr. President, this all seems like deja vu. We have seen this before. The history of corruption in the Philippines reflects a cyclical process. It does not disappear when exposed. It adapts and mutates to survive. The flood control crisis is the reincarnation of the 2013 Priority Development Assistance Fund, or PDAF scam, but in a bolder scheme. It serves as a scathing indictment of the failure of our institutions to deter corrupt machinations. The enterprise remains unchanged in essence, similarly orchestrated by a cabal of officials led by legislators and their co-conspirators within the government and in the private sector, only with a diversified format and modus of thievery, timing, and language. Like floodwaters, these activities seep into institutions and areas of least resistance, flowing into and exploiting new channels where illicit rewards abound and oversight.
Pambihira. Walang kwenta. Kanina pa ako nakikinig dito. Wala akong kakwenta-kwenta. Alam na namin lahat yan, Brad. Ang naging resulta ng ng pagnanakaw ng administrasyon nitong si Marcos Jr., bigyan mo kami ng bago. Nag-privilege speech ka, nagbida-bida ka, tumayo ka dyan. Bigyan mo kami ng bago.
Weakest.
Nangyang to.
Mula sa masilimuot na investigasyon, ilalatag ko ang synthesis ng findings ng komite sa 5 bahagi.
Yeah,
Una,
latag mo.
napatunayan sa mga pagdinig na ang problema sa baha ay hindi nag-ugat sa kakulangan ng pondo. Instead, the scale of funding coupled with weak internal controls and criminally complicit oversight made the sector an attractive target for systematic plunder of the public treasury, effectively leaving our citizens exposed to a deluge of misery. Ito ang nilalaman ng Part 1 ng ating findings. Second, the anatomy of this flood control anomaly is inherently parasitic, characterized by a network of actors spanning the highest levels of authority. Hence, Part 2 of the findings clearly laid out how the anatomy works. From utilizing an institutionalized workflow deeply entrenched within the bureaucracy, employing mechanisms so brazen and gross that they either compromise, recruit, and or bypass oversight. Third, ang flood control mess ay representasyon ng sukdulan at nakakarimarim na evolution of the pork barrel system. In this scheme, corruption takes different forms and names, from congressional slabs of pork, now euphemistically rebranded as allocables, leadership funds, and insertions, extending their reach even to the unprogrammed appropriations under the General Appropriations Act. Part 3 details the scheme's stark similarities to that of the pork barrel scam from language to operations. Fourth, the case of Bulacan First District Engineering Office serves as a microcosm of the systemic rot. It provides a blueprint of how flood control funds are diverted, revealing the interconnected systems that facilitate the corruption. Fifth and finally, the dire consequences of this institutionalized plunder are not merely financial. They are felt in the structural erosion of our democratic institutions, the profound disenfranchisement of the Filipino people, and the tearing of the moral fiber of the country. Now we ask, where did the money go? Evidence on record shows how the flood control corruption scandal exposed a systemic, coordinated, multi-actor process. Isang malawakang sabwatan na ginawang gatasan ang mga proyekto para sa flood control. Ang pattern ng korupsyon ay systemic at parasitic. Magkakaugnay mula sa mga aktor.
Alam na namin yan. Anong bago? Ping Lacson naman. Natural, magkakaugnay yan eh. Alam namin na talagang mayroong sabwatan. Ang gusto namin gawin mo, magpatawag ka ng hearing. Ipatawag mo yung mga personalidad na kung saan mabibigyan na ng kaliwanagan yung mga nangyaring nakawan dito sa mga maanumalyang flood control project. Alam na namin yan.
Or mekanismo at workflow. Who are the actors? In the course of the hearings, we have identified key actors who were implicated in the flood control anomalies and classified them into 8 groups. Ang partisipasyon ng mga aktor na ito ay hindi limitado sa isang grupo lamang.
Yan.
Sila ay maaaring gumalaw sa iba't ibang kapasidad, sabay-sabay o nagpapalit-palit, depende sa pangailangan ng kanilang operasyon. Nariyan ang mga proponents, mga opisyal ng gobyerno na kinikilalang quote-unquote may-ari ng proyekto at tumatanggap ng average na 15 to 30% na kickback. Mga bagmen or intermediaries, sinasabing authorized representatives and emissaries of the proponents, DPWH facilitators and coordinators, mga senior level officials who coordinated with proponents, facilitated the respective project proposals, accepted their demand for commitments and other activities related to the flood control anomaly process. DPWH group, syndicate groups implementing the project tulad ng Bulacan First District Engineering Office at Oriental Mindoro District Engineering Office. Tinuturing ding active actors ang mga contractors. Sila ang namumudmod ng commitments o suhol sa mga proponents at iba't ibang grupo na kasabwat sa anomalya. Madalas, sila ay nagbibigay din ng advances bago pa man ma-award ang project. Hindi nga ba namangha tayong lahat, Mr. President, nang matuklasan natin sa isang pagdinig ang pahayag ni Sally Santos ng Sims Construction na magkasunod siyang nag-withdraw noong Marso at Abril 2025 sa isang land bank branch sa Bulacan ng tig 457 million pesos na cash na kanyang binigay kay Bryce Hernandez at mga kasabwat nito sa First Bulacan District
Alam na namin yan. Anong bago? Pambihira tong
Engineering Office.
Budol-budol talaga
Ang
to.
iba pang mga aktor ay kabilang sa executive branch, bankers, at constitutional oversight group. These actors thrive in the vulnerability of our systems and institutions. Now, how was this corruption executed? Himay-himayin natin ang mga teknikal na paraan kung paano ninakaw ang pera ng bayan. These are specific mechanisms of corruption. Ang mga makinaryang ginamit para pabilisin ang pagnanakaw at pahinain ang ating sistema. Nariyan ang ugat ng problema, ang proponent system. Meron pang mandatory fixed percentage, commissions, kickbacks paid in cash, rigged bidding and favored suppliers at in-house contracting. Ilan lamang ito sa mga sistema ng flood control scam. This corrupt system exploited the very foundations of our fiscal governance through its institutionalized workflow, mula sa budget formulation at authorization, kung saan sinisimulan ang pagmamanipula, procurement and implementation, kung saan ang mga kontrata ay binibigay sa mga kasabwat na nakawan, hanggang sa oversight phase na kung saan nagmimistulang pikit mata sa katiwalian ang mga opisyal ng gobyerno na dapat ay sumusubaybay at nagmomonitor sa mga proyekto. This scheme exploited systemic and institutional weaknesses in budget formulation, authorization, implementation, and oversight. Testimonies and documents reveal that a wide range of public officials, from legislators to frontline officials, as well as private sector co-conspirators, were complicit in various ways, either by approving dubious projects, signing off on ghost projects, or failing to enforce and procurement and performance standards and accountability safeguards. Next, Mr. President, how do we fix the system so it never happens again? Ang pinakamahalagang bahagi ng report ng komite ay ang mga reforma sa sistema, batas at proseso sa pamamagitan ng legislative proposals. We focus on two pillars. First, budget-related proposals. Tanggalin ang anumang uri ng allocables and leadership funds na pinauso ng DPWH upang mapaghati-hatian ang pondo. This is a pork barrel incarnate and it clouds our fiscal transparency. We also suggest itemizing unprogrammed appropriations, strict compliance with the release of unprogrammed funds, and public disclosure of excess revenue certifications for the use and release of unprogrammed appropriations. Given the massive scale of controversies, particularly under the 2024 appropriations, we may also consider abolishing the unprogrammed funds altogether. We are also calling for the vertical and horizontal convergence of infrastructure planning across government agencies, both at the national and local levels, and crucially, enhanced public participation and legislative transparency. Second, our accountability and anti-corruption proposals. Primary to this is the amendment of Republic Act number 6770, or the Ombudsman Act of 1989, which includes A, creation of an anti-corruption law enforcement service in the Office of the Ombudsman and providing incentives and protection to whistleblowers. B, expanding the authority of the Ombudsman to deputize private lawyers as special investigators and prosecutors. And C, fiscal autonomy laws for the Office of the Ombudsman and the Commission on Audit. This is in line with the precedent of giving fiscal autonomy to the Supreme Court as provided under Republic Act 12233 or the Judiciary Fiscal Autonomy Act. We won't allow another fiscal intimidation faced by COA in 2020 when its appropriations were held hostage as for later release or FLR. For too long, our laws had more holes than a sieve. We are here to plug them. Ang ating sagot sa mga contractors. We will define beneficial ownership and conflict of interest so that no legislator can hide behind a corporate veil. We will also push for a law defining and penalizing the crime of infrastructure fraud and bid rigging in the award of public infrastructure contract.
Wala, Ping. Nakanto ko, nainip na yung mga kasama ko dito sa PH Update sa'yo. Ano bang bago? Alam na namin lahat yan. Bid rigging, mga contractors, mga nagbebenta ng proyekto. Linuloko mo na naman kami dito, Brad. Ngayon ka.
We also propose authorizing the Ombudsman and the Secretary of Justice to issue whole departure orders for those involved in large-scale corruption. No more fleeing before justice is served. We likewise propose a strict prohibition and higher penalties against government employees gambling in casinos. Titiyakin natin na wala ng BGC boys na magwawaldas ng limpak na salapi para linisin o ilonder sa kasino.
Yan.
As a measure of accountability,
Brad, alam na namin yan. Anong bago? Kailan ka maghihiwing? Ang bihira.
we will pass a law for the digitalization of SALEN and PDS and a law for the comprehensive whistleblower protection measure to strengthen oversight of government projects. On accountability, we observe that state auditors are physically based in the agencies they audit and receive substantial perks from those agencies such as office space, supplies, personnel, and cash gifts, among others. These arrangements create familiarity. which limits our state auditors' ability to conduct a legitimate audit and in many cases creates conflicts of interest. Hence, we are proposing a law that will facilitate and support the withdrawal of COA auditors and the recall to the Central Home Office from their auditee agencies to ensure independent and accountable reporting. We also propose a law to provide for a citizen's remedy and means for redress and compensation, similar to a taxpayer or a class action suit for citizens, group of citizens, or a community who may have been prejudiced or injured by defective, substandard, or inadequate public infrastructure. Mr. President, these legislative reforms seek to dismantle the very anatomy of the flood control scam, paralyzing corrupt actors, overhauling broken mechanisms, and severing the workflows that feed the systemic greed. Ito po sana ang legislative output ng komite na sa ngayon ay hindi pa natin mai-file. This is why we await our colleagues' signatures, a necessary step to move these reforms forward. Mr. President, in the proposed partial committee report, we recommended that several lawmakers be subjected to preliminary investigation as the evidence points to that course of action. That said, we acknowledge that the passage of time since the preparation of the report has overtaken certain aspects of these recommendations. This does not weaken the report. On the contrary, subsequent developments have reinforced our core findings. As of January this year, 4 key individuals who appeared before the Blue Ribbon Committee hearings were admitted to the Witness Protection Program. These witnesses include former DPWH Undersecretary Roberto Bernardo, former District Engineer Henry Alcantara,
Naku po!
former NCR Regional Director Gerard Opulencia,
Naku po!
and contractor
Naku po!
Sally Santos. The executive branch has ordered a comprehensive review of flood control programs nationwide, including the creation of interagency task forces, stricter validation protocols for infrastructure projects, and enhanced transparency measures in public works spending. The Office of the Ombudsman has filed multiple criminal cases before the Sandigan Bayan against former and incumbent public officials, contractors, and private individuals in connection with alleged anomalous flood control projects, particularly in Bulacan and Oriental Mindoro. The charges include violations of Anti-Graft and Corrupt Practices Act, as well as malversation of public funds through falsification of public documents under the revised penal code. Parallel investigations by the Department of Justice led to the creation of special panels of prosecutors tasked to handle at least 5 ghost flood control projects in Bulacan, with prosecutors recommending the filing of graft, malversation, perjury, and falsification charges after evaluating affidavits, audit findings, and sworn testimonies of engineers and
Pambihira.
whistleblowers. Several of these cases have
Walang
already been
kwenta.
submitted for resolution, while others remain under preliminary investigation. Proceedings are now underway before the Sandigan Bayan, which has begun issuing orders on preliminary matters. The NBI has conducted fact-finding operations and case build-up that led to the filing of complaints against respondents linked to the flood control scheme. The Anti-Money Laundering Council, Mr. President, complemented these efforts by initiating financial intelligence investigations. It has secured multiple freeze orders from the Court of Appeals, with over 21.8 billion pesos in assets frozen as of April 30, 2026, linked to irregularities in flood control projects. It has also preserved a total of 2.5 billion pesos worth of assets. Freeze orders have been issued against numerous individuals, including former Speaker Martin Romualdez,
Yan.
business associates,
Oh.
and corporations. Sa tagal na may report out ang nangyayari na po ang mga rekomendasyon at findings ng komite. Now, Mr. President, ako naman ang dinidiin ng mga kritiko.
Nako, yan na.
Taliwas sa paulit-ulit na naratibo na ayaw ko daw imbitahan si Congressman Romualdez.
Oh.
Uulitin ko po,
Oh.
formal na inimbitahan ng komite ang dating speaker.
Oh.
The committee-
Ba't di nagpunta? Interparliamentary courtesy pala. Palakpakan.
Extended invitations to Representative Romualdez and other members of the House of Representatives whose names were mentioned during the hearings through the office of the current speaker, in keeping with established interchamber courtesy.
Yan.
These invitations were declined, with the exception of Representatives Toby Chanco and Leandro Leviste, who voluntarily appeared before the committee. It must be emphasized that no member of Congress has ever been subjected to a subpoena by either chamber. Such an act would risk undermining the balance and mutual respect that define bicameral relations. Suppose we
Kahit maging trilyon, bilyon, daang bilyon nang nawala sa ating kaban ng sambayan ng Pilipino, tuloy-tuloy lang ang interparliamentary courtesy. Kapaka tayo, di ba? Kahit trilyon nang nawawala sa kaban ng ating sambayanan, interparliamentary courtesy pa rin tayo. Di ba, Senping? Kahit gumapang na ang buong Pilipino, sambayan ng Pilipino, bumaksak ang buong Pilipinas, interparliamentary courtesy lang tayo. Di ba? Wala problema yan.
follow such ludicrous suggestion
Yan.
made by one of our colleagues,
Yan, parinig
ang
na naman.
mangyayari po, si dating Speaker Romualdez ang magiging kauna-unahang kaso na sasalungat sa umiiral na interparliamentary courtesy.
Ito rin naman kasi ang kauna-unahang trilyong nakawan sa kasaysayan ng Pilipinas. Kaya kung magkaroon ng kauna-unahang kaso na hindi susunod dyan sa buwisit na interparliamentary courtesy na yan, walang problema ang sambayan ng Pilipino dyan. Anak ng toka, kahit kalad ka rin natin lahat ng pangalan na nabanggit dyan sa iskandalo na yan, okay lang yan sa ating mga kababayan. Masyado kayong interparliamentary courtesy. Courtesy kayo ng courtesy, puro naman magnanakaw yung mga mambabatas. Walang yan.
Ngayon, kung mayroon namang kapwa nating senador na iimbitahan o isusubpina sa pagdinig ng Kamara, halimbawa, may isyuhan ng imbitasyon o subpina ang ating kasama na si Senator Marcoleta
Naku.
ng House Committee on Justice.
Naku po.
If, hypothetically, mayroong investigasyon sa Kamara ukol sa kanyang di umano'y manumalyang statement of contributions and expenditures or SOSE.
Absoluto na siya dyan, Brad.
Handa po ba ang liderato ng Senado? At
Yung SOSE, pwedeng interparliamentary courtesy yun. Kasi kung mayroong problema, komili kang bahala dyan. Walang trilyong pisong nakawan ang nangyari dyan. Diba? Pagdideklara lang yan, walang problema yan. Ang issue natin dito, Brad, yung trilyong nangyaring nakawan sa mga maanumalyang flood control project, malaki ang kaibahan ng SOSE at ng mga maanumalyang flood control project. Huwag mo kaming ungguin, ha? Nga ka.
si Senator Marcoleta na baliwalain ang interparliamentary courtesy na umiiral mulat sa pool sa Kongreso. Maalala natin, noong 2024, inimbitahan ng Kamara si Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa sa pagdinig ng war on drugs. Gayunpaman, hindi siya dumalo. Sa payo na rin ng dating Senate President Chis Escudero bilang pagpapahalaga sa inter-chamber courtesy. That is why I always emphasize, Mr. President, that this is not merely a matter of practice.
Yan.
It is grounded in principle. In his separate opinion, in Francisco versus House of Representatives, GR number 160261, November 10, 2003, Justice Dante Tinga explained, and I quote, "While interchamber courtesy is not a principle which has attained the level of a statutory command, it enjoys a high degree of obeisance among the members of the legislature ensuring as it does the smooth flow of the legislative process. Unquote.
Anak ng tokwa, yun pala ang bago. Yung interparliamentary courtesy, SEC niya. Maninindigan siya na talagang kung ayaw niya dumaloy, diwag. Yan ang babago. Yun nga, kapinga.
In light of this, the continued observance of interchamber courtesy is not optional, Mr. President. It is essential to preserving the independence, integrity, and proper functioning of each chamber. May mga individual rin na pilit na nagpapakalat ng maling impormasyon na di umano'y pinipigilan naming pagsalitain si former Congressman Saldico. Nais ko pong linawin, Mr. President, distinguished colleagues, na inimbitahan ng komite at inisyuhan pa nga ng Shocos order at subpoena si Mr. Saldico. May nagmamagaling pa.
Ang problema, gusto nyo, magpunta siya sa magpunta siya sa, tawag dito? Sa embassy. Diba? Kasi pagka pumasok sa embassy, wala na. Pwede ho siyang hindi na palabasin doon. Pwede ba yon? Baka yun ang kinakatakot niya. Yun ang gusto nyong mangyari. Kahit Zoom lang, anak ng tokwa, pwede naman yun. Pagkwentuhin natin siya sa Zoom. Di ba, hayaan natin ang sambayan ng Pilipino tumingbang kung ano masasabi nila doon sa mga kalokohan na yon. Mga sasabihin niya kalokohan, katotohanan, o kung ano pa man. Ang bihira, yung mga hearing-hearing ni Risa Ontiveros, nasa Russia, nasa kung saan. Mga foreigner pa. Pero okay lang. Itong si Saldico, isa sa mga utak dito sa nakawan na to, pero ayaw nilang pakinggan. Palakpakan.
Now, ay hayaan si Mr. Saldico na maglabas ng apostilled affidavit
Ayan.
o lumahok sa pamamagitan ng Zoom meeting. Si Ginoong Saldico ay hindi nagpapadala ng anumang request sa komite para humiling na accommodation para sa isang virtual meeting mula sa loob ng Philippine Embassy.
Iyon ang problema.
Sa katunayan, ako pa nga ang unang nagmungkahi na maaaring pag-aralan ang posibilidad na magtungo siya sa embahada upang doon magtestify sa pamamagitan ng Zoom habang under oath. Subalit, ang ating kasamahan mula sa minorya na si Senator Ronald Bato de la Rosa ang mismong nagpaalaala at nagbabala laban sa hakbang na ito.
To kasi si Senator Bato, inayaan niya na lang sana eh.
This caution makes sense, Mr. President. Kung siya ay nagtestify sa loob ng Philippine Embassy at mapatunayang nagsisinungaling at ma-cite in contempt of the Blue Ribbon Committee, kaya ba siyang ipakulong o i-detain ng embahada sa loob mismo ng kanilang gusali? Dahil dito, Mr. President, ang tanging paraan lamang upang tanggapin ng komite ang mga pahayag ni Saldico ay ang pagbabalik niya sa Pilipinas at personal na pagdalo sa pagdinig. Nais ko ring tugunan ang mga kritiko ng ilang gumagamit ng issue ng 67 contractors bilang dahilan upang hindi pirmahan ang ating partial committee report. Liwanagin ko lang po muli, hindi ko kailanman sinabing
Yun, tuloy natin.
hawak ko ang listahan ng mga contractors na ito.
Yan.
To set the record straight, ang makailang ulit ko nang nabanggit ay ang impormasyong ibinahagi lamang ng isang congressman, walang detalye kung sino-sino. Kung mayroon mang may hawak ng impormasyon o kung kaya nilang tukuyin ang iba pang mga contractors na ito, katulad ng ginagawa ni Ombudsman Remulla, name them. If you have the evidence, present it. If you know the perpetrators, expose them. The committee will provide the platform for you.
Hindi ka nga nag-iimbestiga. Loko-loko to. Pamira ng platform. In-hostage mo nga investigasyon eh. Pagka hindi sila pumirma doon sa partial committee report, walang investigasyon na mangyayari, walang hearing na mangyayari. Anong platform? Loko-loko.
Our recommendations are, by design,
Yoko na. Aputan na ho tayo kay Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Binubola na naman ho tayo nitong si Pinky. Pambihira talaga to, oo. Oh.
paper trail na nag-uugnay sa mga flood control projects.
Ayan, dito na ho tayo.
Majority Leader.
Oh. Kay Senator Marcoleta na ho tayo.
we recognize our distinguished colleague from Tarlac.
Yan.
Senator Dante Marcoleta, sir.
Matindi ho ito. Ito na.
Thank you, Mr. President. Mr. President, may I ask Senator Lacson if he wishes to
Duwag yan,
yield
duwag. Ayaw niya
some
sigurado.
questions by way of
Duwag yan eh.
interpellation?
Ayaw.
Senator Lacson,
I'll say it again, Mr. President. Until the partial committee report is submitted or filed with the Bills and Index Division,
Oh.
and until after I have sponsored the partial committee report, I'm not yielding the floor.
Oh, yan ang problema. Hinostage ang hearing at takot sa mga tanong ni Senat. Yan ho ang inyong Blue Ribbon Committee Chairperson. Lanyag ba?
Mr. President, that is very highly unusual. Why would Senator Lacson make a precondition that the partial report should be signed by at least a majority of its members before he can yield
may,
interpellation?
yes. May I place on record that it is the prerogative of any member of the Senate to yield or not yield. As a matter of fact, in my many years here, Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, and I'm sure Senator De Estrada is well aware of this, who was with me. Senator Miriam Defensor Santiago, every time she delivers a privileged speech, does not entertain any interpellation.
Yes,
And
Mr.
it is
President,
her-
but
it is her prerogative.
this is different.
And then,
Because if
as I said, it is the prerogative of Senator Santiago, and it is likewise the prerogative of Senator Lacson because he wants.
Nagkanda paos lang ito sa sa Korte Suprema. Hinihingan kasi siya ng di ba? Sagot. Doon sa indirect contempt na petition sa Korte Suprema laban dito kay Escalera. Wala siyang boses. I-stress siguro.
That as he mentioned, he wanted that his partial committee report be reported out and sponsored before he can answer any questions to that effect.
Mr. President, if Senator Lacson would just say that he doesn't want to be interpellated, that will be okay with me. But he should not make a precondition that his unwillingness is conditioned upon whether or not the partial report should be signed by the majority. This is very unusual, Mr. President.
Yes, we respect your opinion.
And because he doesn't want to be interpellated, may I just be given the opportunity to make manifestation because my name was mentioned.
Of
by
course,
Senator Lacson.
of course you may. Go
Thank
ahead.
you, Mr. President.
Yan, balagbag. Balagbag, Sentante.
Mr. President,
Kahit naman napirmahan, hindi napirmahan, hindi ho talaga makikipagtagisan niyang mamanayangi dito kay Senator Rodante Marcoleta. Hayaan ho ang ating sigurado dyan.
I cannot speak for our colleagues why they hesitate or even refuse to sign the partial report he allegedly disseminated to the members. But as for myself, Mr. President, I cannot sign a partial report. A partial report is basically unfinished. An unfinished report cannot be assumed to have contained the final and collective judgment of all the members. This is very basic, Mr. President. Secondly, I did not heed my reasons why I cannot sign the partial report. I delivered a privileged speech some time ago, Mr. President, outlining the reasons, therefore. Number one, I was expecting the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee to have conducted several hearings more, and in those hearings, he should have invited several persons whom I enumerated in my privileged speech. Namely, Yusek Adrian Bersamin, Yusek Jojo Cadiz, former Governor Luis Chavez Singson,
Yan.
former Speaker Martin Romualdez, former Congressman Saldico by way of an apostilled sworn statement, because this is very, very possible. An apostilled sworn statement, Mr. President, as I have already advised the chairman of the Blue Ribbon Committee, is similar to a sworn statement notarized by the Philippine Consulate in any part of the world, because this apostilled manner or method of subscription was already adopted by the Supreme Court in one of its resolutions, Mr. President. I also advocated that the 18 ex-soldiers be immediately be invited because they have so much to say. Because I thought he said, and he emphasized at some point,
Yan.
that wherever the evidence is, the BRC will be led there too, Mr. President. Ang sabi pa po niya, Mr.
Yan.
President,
Ayaw mo sumagot, ha? Ayaw mo sumagot. Iisa-isahin ko yung mga kabalbalan mo dun sa mga nauna mong privilege speech. Lang niya kang Lacson. Palampakan natin siya dati. Ganyan. Di ba? Ito lang naman katanungan. Akala ko bang pupunta tayo kung nasaan yung mga ebidensya? Kung saan tayo dadalhin ng ebidensya? Dinadala tayo ng ebidensya, pumipreno ka.
hindi option yung interparliamentary courtesy. At kung ako po ba'y tatawagin pala sa mababang kapulungan dahil meron pala silang itatanong tungkol sa di umano ay mga donasyon na aking tinanggap. Mr. President, I will willingly present myself with or without invitation. They just have to suggest to me that they wanted me there. I will go there, Mr. President.
Yan.
Interparliamentary courtesy is between the two chambers, Mr. President.
Yan.
Tayo-tayo po ang pinag-uusapan na maggalangan doon. Pero ang nangyari, Mr. President, ang ating boss, ang mga amo natin, ang taong bayan, ang hindi na po iginalang eh. Hindi lang pangbabastos sa mga taong bayan ang ginawa ng mga magnanakaw at kawatan nitong flood control projects. Igagalang pa ba natin, Mr. President, ang mga tinutungo ng ebidensya na sangkot ang mga taong gusto nating ipatawag in this chamber? Gagamitin pa po bang isang dahilan na kailangan nating maggalangan kung sila mismo ay hindi na iginalang ang taong bayan na ngayon ay halos nagdurusa na? Tama po, sinabi niya kanina, Mr. President, talagang mainit ang panahon. Ang heat index ay talagang sumadsad na talaga sa pinakamainit na bahagi. Ngunit ang lalong nagpapainit nito, Mr. President, ay yung kawalan ng political will na ipagpatuloy ang pagdinig. Kahit na lantaran na nandun na talaga yung mga ebidensya. Bakit po hindi tayo tumawag ng pagdinig, Mr. President? Inimbita si Governor Luis Chavez Singson. Sa pagkakalam ko sa mga accounts na nababasa ko, he was invited to appear on April 14. At binigyan po siya ng pagkakataon hanggang April 7, hanggang alas 5 ng hapon na ihain ang kanyang sinumpaang salaysay. Hanggang alas 5 ng hapon, Mr. President. Ngunit 9:15 ng umaga, ipinaabot sa bahay ng dating gobernador na kinakansela na po ang nasabing pagdinig. At ginamit pang dahilan,
Naku, ba't
paano po
wala?
nangyari yun,
Yan,
Mr.
yan.
President? Binigyan siya hanggang alas 5 ng Abril 7 na isubmit. Sa pagkakaalam ko po, nandun na siya sa Maynila at nanananghali. Pagkatapos na itutuloy siya sa opisina ni Senator Lacson para ihain
Yan.
yung sworn statement na kanyang inihanda.
Nako po.
Bakit po kinakailangang dumating pa si Saldico? Inihintay siguro ni Saldico, Mr. President, ideklara lang ng chairman ng Blue Ribbon Committee, i-apostil mo lang yan kahit nasaan ka sa anumang bansa ka sa Europe. Tatanggapin ng committee yan. At pagkatapos, hahayaan ka namin sa pamagitan ng Zoom ay pumayag ka at iimbitahan ka namin para sa isang special na pagdinig kung yan ang gusto mo. Yun lang siguro gusto niyang marinig. Bakit i-condition pa natin ang pagdating niya rito, Mr. President, kung yung apostle sworn statement is sufficient enough for him to do just that? Ano po ba tayo rito? Nagtatakip po ba talaga tayo?
Yan.
Mr. President, kayo po ay maaring makapagtestigo sa sasabihin ko. Nung isang araw po, pinuntahan ko kayo sa inyong opisina at may binanggit po akong isang bagay na maaring makatulong sa atin kung paano kilalanin si Senator Lacson. Binanggit ko po sa inyo, Mr. President, ng buong katapatan nung ako'y wala pa po sa Kongreso, wala pa po sa public service. Nakilala ko po si Senator Lacson bilang chief ng PNP. Nabanggit ko po sa inyo, Mr. President, sa ating pag-uusap sa inyong opisina. Mula noon, nung makita ko siya, lalong-lalo na po dun sa episode na pinatawag po niya, ang lahat ng kinaukulan na merong mga nakaw na sasakyan, mga karnap na sasakyan. Naalala ko po na sinabi niya, Mr. President, lahat ng mga ninakaw na sasakyan, dalhin nyo rito sa Camp Crame. No questions asked. Dahil palagi po akong dumadaan sa EDSA, Mr. President. Dahil opisina ko po sa Ortigas, nakita ko pong nakabunton lahat talaga ang mga ninakaw na sasakyan.
Yan.
Talaga pong hinangaan ko, Senator Lacson.
Yan.
Walang nakagawa nun sa aking palagay kung hindi siya lang.
Mm.
Di ba, Mr. President, sinabi ko pa sa'yo, sayang wala nakako yung aking kaibigan, yung dating mayor ng Marikina, Bayani Fernando. Dahil kinausap ko po siya. Sabi ko, Bayani, alam mo, yung ginagawa mo sa Marikina, gusto ko rin eh. At yung ginagawa ni Chief PNP, Ping Lacson, gusto ko din yun. Ayaw mo ba siyang kausapin na kayong dalawa tumakbo? Si Ping Lacson ang president. Ikaw naman ang vice president. Kinuwento ko sa iyo yan, Sir President. Bakit ko po sinasabi ngayon ito, Ginoong Pangulo? Nung umpisa po talagang ganong na nakita ko po eh.
Mm. Tapang eh, no? Ping Lacson eh.
Yung kanyang kagustuhan
Mm.
na maayos natin ang ating bansa. Yung sinasabi niyang track record, maring nung umpisa nandun po yun eh. Hindi ko ikukwento ito kung hindi talagang hinangaan ko siya. Noon.
Mm.
Pero bakit ngayon po ay nagkaiba, Mr. President?
Nagkaiba. Baka nabulungan siya ni Mamsi. Di ba? Ano bang hawak nila kay Ping Lacson? Sa Malacanang, bakit todo pagpapakaaso niya kay Marcos Jr.?
Parang yung pedestal na aking hinangaan.
Yan.
Yung alamat na nandoon.
Yan.
Unti-unting gumuho.
Naku po.
Nalulungkot po ako at nangyari yun, Mr. President.
Mm.
Ang sabi ko pa nga eh, hindi man tayo dapat maglaban-laban dito eh. Ang kapakanan ng mamamayan ng ating bansa, ang importante rito po eh.
Mm.
Yung direksyon natin. Bakit kailangan akong palaging pinapasaringan?
Mm.
Hindi naman po ang aking kagustuhan eh. Kung sino yung dapat na sumikat o sino yung dapat magpasikat, hindi po yun eh. Isa lang po ang sikat dito, Mr. President. Ang taong bayan
Correct.
na pinagsisilbihan nating lahat. Doon po natin ituon ang lahat ng ating makakaya, ang lahat ng ating energy. Malampasan sana natin ang problemang ito. Ngunit, yung hindi po pagganap sa tungkulin. Yun po yung hinahanap ng tao, Mr. President. Napakainit na po ng panahon talaga. Pinapag-iinit pa ng paghihintay nang hindi malaman hanggang kailan maghihintay ang taong bayan. Ano po ba ang dahilan kung bakit nagkaroon siya ng privilege speech ngayong hapon? Para saan? Para saan? Hindi po ba mas maganda na kumpletuhin natin yung report? Hindi partial. Ano yun? Partial final? O partial provisional? Paano ko po malalaman, Mr. President, kung hindi po ibinigay yung hard copy? Pipilitin akong basahin na nandun lamang sa online. Binigyan lamang kami ng isang file para doon kuhanin namin kami mag-print. Paano ko ba ikukumpara po yung ipinrint ko? Hindi ko naman alam kung sinong gumawa nun dahil wala nga pong pirma yun eh. Doon lang sa paraan na yun eh. Nagkakaroon na po ng agam-agam eh. Pagkatapos ayaw pa nilang mag-interpolate. Nasa sa kanya po yun, Mr. President. Pero ako po, ang tanging hangarin ko lamang, ayusin natin lahat ito. Sabi nga po niya, hindi makakalimutan ng taong ito at talaga naman pong hindi malilimutan sapagkat ito na po yata ang pinakamalawak na nakawan sa kasaysayan ng ating bansa. Salamat po, Mr. President.
Ngayon, palakpakan nun natin itong si Senator Rodante Marcoleta. So Luis, maraming salamat po sa pag-support sa PH Update. Mag-ingat po kayo lahat. Huwag po kayo magpabola kay Ping Lacson. Mahal natin Pilipinas.